Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective, where you get a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything. Happy Monday. I am back. I'm going to do, the last time I was here, I was working on the Journey to Wholeness. So we covered parts 1 and 2, and then I think I broke myself. Yes. I mean, I legit think I broke myself with opening up that whole wholeness thing. So I've been really on a self-discovery journey for the last 2 weeks since the last show 2 weeks ago today. So, it's kind of one of those things where the healing, even though it's done, there's parts of you that just need to kind of move forward and don't know how to move forward. So I was kind of stuck. And I got unstuck. So it's been quite the journey. I wasn't sure if I was going to make it on today, but I did. So let's just pop right into this. Again, I'm just gonna do an overview of parts 1 and 2 that I covered 2 weeks ago and the Friday before that. And then tomorrow we'll do the mandalas, and then Wednesday we'll finish up with the love and what was it? The love and wholeness journey? Wholeness and holiness. And love is the essence of wholeness. So we'll finish it up with that on Wednesday. So the quick overview was number 1. Let's see. Let me go back to the top here. Number 1. This is from the lonerwolf.com site. So I'll put the link again. When I finish up on Wednesday, I will put the link in the comments, okay, for the whole thing so that you can read it over yourself. Because I think it's really important to read over. But, oh my goodness, I don't know what happened, but it just disappeared. So what is wholeness, New Age stuff? Hold on. Here we go. Embrace all sides of yourself through self-compassion, even and especially the warty ones, W-A-R-T-Y. So what they mean by that is even the dark side, your dark side, like Darth Vader. So anyway, sorry, I'm just, my shirt is one size too big and it's just kind of like, oh my God. But I feel like I'm wearing a potato sack, but it's so cute, and it has like all the Disney characters on it, and Goofy. Goofy's my favorite. But, anyways, I saw it. It was cute, so I got it. Thank you, older sibling, too. That was a nice little present surprise for me. But, anyways, embrace all sides of yourself through self-compassion, and especially the warty sides. And I think that was a big part. Maybe the reason I had to break was so that when I do this journey to wholeness, it's really kind of honest, and I'm shooting from the cuff here because this is stuff that it really just it blew my mind so much that I just kind of, I don't want to say a tailspin. I thought maybe I had spiraled, but I think what was happening was that I was coming into this. I was coming into wholeness, and before, when I was talking about it, it was, I don't know, it was kind of like talking from a wishful place. Like, yeah, I wish I could find this wholeness. I wish I could do this, but now I'm there. So, self-compassion includes self-love and self-care. And self-love and self-care. Self-care is not selfish. It is necessary. Absolutely 100% necessary. Self-love, it's not always easy, right? But it's not as hard as we make it either. So it's really a matter of balance. And so when we go through these parts of ourselves, embracing all sides of us, the light and the dark side, even the ugly bits that you don't want to acknowledge, it's best to do that, because that's where you heal. That's where you can bridge that gap between them and use that self-love and that self-compassion to quiet the negative voices, to quiet the negative vibes, to quiet the bad luck. It's that side of you that just wants to hold you back because it's fear. I mean, fear straight out. So, sorry, this is bothering me. But, yeah, and fear, we all know how fear works, right? It's good intuition when something is kind of setting off your spidey tingles, and your instincts are just kind of, should I really be doing this or should I not be doing this? But other times it holds us back from, major things, like good things, because we're so afraid of the unknown, or maybe we're afraid of being hurt, or maybe we're afraid of falling apart, or whatever it is. So remember, embrace all sides of yourself through self-compassion. Self-compassion, it can be difficult, but it is attainable. The next one we had was part 2, and part 2 is hold hands with the devil inside of you. Now, before you freak out, and not literally, okay, when it's talking about the devil inside of you, it's talking about the warty sides of you, the dark sides, the negative aspects. If you've ever had a tarot reading, or you've ever been through the tarot deck, which, by the way, don't believe all the movies, okay? They are not bad. The death card is the end of one thing, the beginning of another. So it's endings and beginnings. But the devil card is like how you see yourself. It's all your bits inside of you that make you feel bad about yourself, or make you want to do bad things or say bad things, or it's that ugly side of ourselves that comes out in the worst ways sometimes, and the part of ourselves we're not very proud of. But a lot of that stuff comes from pain, and it's really kind of your shadow self. And your shadow self is this part of you that's in there that needs to be healed, that needs to be, given some attention, that needs, I can't find the word, but I'm pretty sure you understand what I'm saying. I am going to do a series on shadow work, and now that I've been through that and wholeness, hopefully that doesn't break me either. But, it says right here, denying the shadow only makes it grow larger and angrier, like the lava in a volcano about to erupt. So, excuse me. Tea this morning. So the word shadow work can be a little scary for some. It's actually a brainchild of Carl Jung, who was a famed psychologist, psychotherapist. One of my favorites. I'm more of a Jung fan than a Freud fan, but if I remember correctly, Carl Jung was under sort of the tutelage of the grandfather of psychology, which would be Freud. So, but they just had a difference of opinion on how to approach certain things. And Carl Jung's version of approaching things was through shadow work, and he used it a lot for himself. So a lot of this article from lonerwolf.com is based on Carl Jung practices. So it's really kind of fascinating, because there were things I didn't even know that we're going to cover in here. Like tomorrow's thing about the mandalas. So, it says right here, we're all imperfect, and therefore we all carry a dark side. Nobody is perfect. We are all perfectly imperfect. And, I know there's a lot of people going, well, you don't know me. It's like, no, I don't. Okay. So if you want to think you're perfect, that is absolutely fine. As for me, I am fine saying that I am perfectly imperfect. Got no problem with it. I have my flaws. I have lots of flaws. I mean, come on. I've been gone for 2 weeks. Because I fell apart. I did 2 parts of wholeness, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, my mind is blowing. So it's just kind of like, okay. I had to lean into it. A lot of times I lean out of it and I just kind of fall apart so hard. But this time I thought like I said before, circling back, like I said before, I thought I was spiraling, but I was not spiraling. What was happening was I was growing. And I think it was like, think of it like the lotus flower, right? The lotus flower grows in the darkness. It grows under the muck and the mud and all that stuff. And then it just kind of pushes through all that, and it blooms into this beautiful flower. It's a symbol of several religions. And what I love about that is that, that's kind of what it felt like. It felt like going through that darkness, and, you can see the light and you feel like you're already in the light. But it's almost like, as a lotus flower, I had pushed through the muck and everything, but I hadn't bloomed yet. So I like to think that the last couple of weeks, especially the last few days when I had the absolute self-discovery, I feel like that's when I bloomed, so it's it's all about trying to figure out who I am now. And so this wholeness thing is going to help me as well. Because, I was telling older sibling the other day, I said, I'm like Shelley Marie 3.0. I said, Shelley Marie 1.0 was the traumatized kid, the young kid, the one living two separate lives that I've talked about a million times, the abuse side, and then this lovely family side where, I could just hide and be safe and all that stuff and just try to detach myself from all the bad things that were happening over here. And then I thought I healed a lot of that, so that was part of 1.0. 2.0 was, it started when my mom died. We're never the same when somebody we love and care about, and that we're very close to passes away, so, and I say that, I say it like that because there are a lot of people that aren't close to their parents. I happen to be very close to my parents, and my mom's passing really kind of set me on a path. And then when Sissy Joe passed away just 10 months later, it was kind of like I fell apart. And that's really in that span of time, 2014 and 15 is when my healing really started going. And you're probably like, Shelley Marie, that was a long time ago. It was. But here's the secret. I kept resisting the healing. I kept thinking, no, I'm there. I've done that. And I didn't know a lot of the stuff I know now. So I think, when we get to a certain point, we think, why the hell did it take so long? Maybe the point is for me and other people like me who feel like it's taken a long time to show people that when you don't resist, you get to the end a lot faster. I used to think, oh my gosh, I wasted all this time. I wasted my life. I wasted this. I wasted that. But I didn't. I'm exactly where I need to be at this time in my life because, it's about putting out that message. It's about putting out that word that says, excuse me, I know, right? Every time I hit play, whoosh, the waterworks. But, it's about showing people that it doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are. You can heal. If you do go through shadow work or you do feel yourself falling apart, please know that professional help, there's no shame in that. It's been stigmatized for so long and it's ridiculously stigmatized. It helps people. I mean, I haven't been in therapy in 5 months. I'm going Friday and I'm nervous AF, like super nervous. And I don't know why, but I haven't seen my therapist since October because of that whole medical insurance snafu that happened. And it was just like, oh my God, and I keep thinking she's going to ask me, so what have you been up to? And I almost gave myself anxiety, but then I thought, you know what? I'm going to tell her, hey, I did pretty good with the tools. There's still some places where I need to grow. And, thank you for your help and for being there and being an earpiece for me to work things through with. Because that's a lot of what it is. They're not there to tell you how to live your life. They're there to guide you through the icky stuff so that you can move through that. And they're there to keep you safe. They're there to not literally, but figuratively hold your hand in the dark, to hold that light for you for that hour or 45 minutes a day that you have your session. And, and they ask you the questions you need to ask. Like, when they ask you how you feel about that, I know that's kind of the joke, right? Whenever you see these shows where they have therapists, like, well, how do you feel about that? Well, the reason they're asking you is because they want to know, they want you to dig deep. It's basically doing shadow work when you go to therapy. So just keep that in mind because it's not a bad thing. All right. It's not a bad thing. And don't let people stigmatize you. In fact, if you do feel stigmatized, you can do it online. Like legit, you can, even my therapist, I can do online. I prefer in person because I squirrel hard. So it's kind of like I'm in every direction, but I really got to have myself checked. And I'm not joking about that. I mean, I really do, because there's times when I just totally lose focus and it's like, what? But anyways, so going back to the, embrace or hold hands with the devil inside of you. I know I kind of circled around that, but again, don't take that part so literal, because I remember the first day that I did this part, hold hands with the devil inside of you, there were a lot of faces going, oh, and what it means is to hold hands with that shadow self inside of you. Going back to the first one, Embrace yourself with self-compassion, including the dark sides, the ugly sides, the warty sides. And, that's what it's talking about here. It's like, hold hands with this part of you. Figure out what it is that needs to be forgiven, and then forgive it and let it go, because it's not serving you. I did some interesting meditation this morning, and it was the way my brain works is kind of funny. But there were like little stick figures with sandwich boards, okay? And these stick figures with these sandwich boards, one said, negative thoughts. Another one, and actually that one just looked like a scrolled paper, like a paper scroll. And it had legs and little stick arms and stuff. And this just popped in my head. This is not something I just created out of my mind. These are what popped in my head. And the first one was negative thoughts. The next one was bad luck. And the third one was negative vibes. And I was like, but they were holding suitcases, and, they were kind of waving it. I'm like, okay, bye. Thanks for leaving finally. And then I was like, cause they're all like, well, we're on to the next. And it's like, well, why can't you just go sit on an island somewhere and not bother people? And what I heard next kind of shocked me. It almost shocked me out of my meditation. But I heard negative vibes say this. We come through to show people what needs to be healed, to show people that they can change, that they can make things better for themselves. We come through to remind people about the good things. And then I hugged each one of them, and I realized, we look at these things in such a negative and very unpositive light. But it's kind of like the movie Inside Out, right? Because that was the next thing that popped in my head. Because I literally answered with, you mean like joy and sadness? And Joy couldn't understand why, sadness was so important. And she just wanted to get rid of sadness because sadness was annoying. Sadness was a cute little tear fountains, or fountain of tears. And until she realized that without the sadness, without the negative vibes, without the negative talk, without the bad luck, we wouldn't realize how amazing all the other things are. Because after those three went packing and took off towards wherever they're off to go, the next thing that showed up was positive self-talk. And self-love, self-worth, self-compassion. Actually, not in that order. I apologize. Positive thoughts, good luck, positive vibes. And they were the first ones to show up. And it was kind of like, it felt so welcomed. And they're like, hi, we're here. We're here to, same stick figures, same sandwich boards. Like I said, my mind is a very interesting place to be. And then self-love showed up. And, well, actually, it showed up as love. Period. Just a big heart walking with arms and legs. And then, it kind of says, under little parentheses, self-love, and then self-worth, and then prosperity. And I wasn't asking for any of these things to show up. They just did. And it's like, okay, time to get to work. And it really does start from there. I realized when I was talking before about not feeling anything, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to do Wholeness, was because I had shut myself down. I had progressed so far in my healing that in a weird way, it scared me because everything is the unknown. A lot of times when you read these self-help books, not all self-help books, but a lot of them, or even the spiritual or the new age or spirituality books, they will tell you, go back to a place before your trauma that you were happy and build from there. My trauma happened so young, I didn't have a place to go back to. And so for a long time, I overthought that. And I thought, well, where do I go? I had this happy family life, but it was intermingled with this other thing. And so it's always felt like everything good that happens is always kind of, being trailed by that ball and chain. It's just got that drag kind of feeling. Like, oh yeah, this is great. But then there's that pit of your stomach feeling that's always feels like it's sitting in the background. And it was hard for me to come up with a thing or a time where I felt absolute pure joy. And I've done so many things in my life. I've done so many fun things in my life. And so I thought, you know what? This is me. This is something I need to work on. Why is it that it's hard for me to go back and find these joyful things that I love doing, that I had so much fun doing, that I had a great time doing, and feel that joy? And it was out of fear. And so again, I had to hold the devil inside. I had to hold the hand of the devil inside of me and say, you know what? No. Maybe I am starting from a baseline. Maybe I am starting at my age to figure out who I really am or what direction I'm meant to go in. I really feel like this is part of my path. This is my part of my journey is doing this, because I know it touches people. I know it helps people, and it helps me as we go along. And like I said, breaking myself during those first 2 parts of wholeness, it was absolutely what need. Now that I'm talking about it, I can absolutely see that it was necessary for it to happen, because now I can talk to you from those places, from part 1 and 2. And then I can move forward and I can learn with you about wholeness equaling holiness. And, love is the essence of wholeness. And that will be on Self-Care Wednesday. But I'm just going to read this really quick, where it says, the dark side is often referred to as the shadow self because it's hidden from us, buried within the unconscious mind and suppressed from everyday awareness. I had so many unconscious thoughts. Now, I'm going to give you a vague description of this because I'm still trying to understand subconscious versus unconscious. Now, subconscious thoughts are usually thoughts that you're aware of. And they're kind of like, where you kind of have those, where you say these things and they're rolling around in your head. And they're thoughts that you're aware of and somehow just come out. Unconscious thoughts are thoughts that are just buried in there. They're hidden in there. It is your shadow self. There are these parts of yourself that are sitting there going, I'm just going to hide over here in the corner so nobody sees me. Kind of like that inner child that needs to be healed, right? That is kind of what the unconscious thoughts are. So when we talk about the shadow, that's where we're going with that, to heal that part of ourselves that that has been hidden from us for so long, that really kind of pushes the decisions that we might make out of fear. And a lot of times that's where fear comes from, is your unconscious thoughts, because they're thoughts so buried in you, you don't even realize you're having them anymore. So, let's see. The psychospiritual approach that this person advocates on their website is inner work, which contains 3 foundational practices: self-love, inner child work, and shadow work. For me, inner child work and shadow work kind of went hand in hand. So it says, to hold the hand of your inner devil, you must first build a strong foundation of self-love. Otherwise, how can you befriend your darkest shadows? You'll just end up rejecting or hating them and fragmenting yourself even more. Inner child work helps you soothe and comfort your wounded innocence so that you can feel safe enough to venture into the dark. And shadow work is the final step, allowing you to experience more inner peace and opening a doorway to greater spiritual growth. So I actually did those in that order. When I first did the series on shadow work, it was part of the 30 days of self-love. So that was, it was like working up to it. There was like 10 days of all these self-love exercises, talking about self-love. And then for 3 days, I jumped into shadow work. And my shadow work kind of dealt with my inner child, because that's where my shadow work needed to be done, to heal that child from before, that 1.0, young 1.0. But people's inner child and their shadow work may be very different. Your inner child may be fine, but there may be other things that happen to you in your life that just kind of are overshadowing your life and just holding you back or holding you down. So those are the 3 things that are really, really good to work on. But work on your self-love. Every time you have a negative thought, replace it with a positive one. If you look in the mirror and go, ugh, just go look in the mirror and say, you know what? I like you. Start small. Start easy. A lot of us, we don't like ourselves, right? So that's where we have to find that self-love. Ever since I kind of broke out and blossomed, I've been looking in the mirror and I didn't even realize that I'm not making a face at myself anymore. It's just kind of like, oh, okay, there you are. Hi, good to see you. But it's getting better. I'm learning I'm getting to know myself. And I know that sounds dumb because I really did not think I was finding myself, but apparently I have found myself. But I wasn't really lost. I was just buried under a lot of stuff. But I'm kind of getting to know myself again. And in getting to know myself again, every time I have a negative thought, I'm trying to replace it with a positive one. Because remember, I sent those 3 packing. They're gone. Sandwich boards, suitcases, and all. And the new crew has arrived into my life. The new stick figures with their sandwich boards and their new suitcases, and they're here to stay. You know, they're unpacking in my house up here, and they're setting up shop, and they want to set up a good shop. So remember, any kind of luck is the luck we create. And people may do charms or spells or manifestations or prayers or all these things. And to be honest with you, it's the vibe inside of you. So if something is not manifesting for you, it's because you got to work on whatever it is that's going on in here. You got to feel it, right? I mean, you got to feel it to heal it, and you got to feel it to make it happen. So when you're manifesting this or something better, when you're praying, put faith into it. Have faith. Whatever it is that you were doing, whatever, is in your wheelhouse, whatever you turn your faith to, and that's how you want to work it, you have to have belief and believe in yourself. That's the whole important part. That's the biggest part about wholeness, is believing in yourself. Find that self-love, find that self-compassion, and carry them with you when you start to do the harder work, the dark, shadowy stuff. Because, it can be scary. I have a friend who's currently going through her own, healing process and the inner child and shadow work. And it's been difficult. And I'm looking back and going, wow, you know what? I remember that. And I think that was the other issue I was having with myself, was that I was afraid to move out of this into this healed person, because I thought, how can I talk to people if I'm done with my healing? And then I thought, duh, that's where I need to be, to show people that there is an end result, to show people that as hard as it can get, as scary as it gets, as dark as it gets, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I almost didn't make it out a couple of times. I swear to you. I was afraid and that I wouldn't make it out a couple of times, and I did. I just pushed through, and I had a wonderful support system. So make sure you have one of those too. I do have a therapist, but I have a very wonderful personal support group, especially with my soul sisters. So, it's good to have that support, and it's good to have those people around that will build you up and pick you up when you are literally splayed flat on the ground. Just going like, go on without me. I'm just going to be right here. That's when you need them the most. And that's, if you have a good support system, they will be there. Always find more than one person though, because sometimes your people are going to be busy. You can't always expect them to drop everything for you. So, find a good support system. And if they're not there at the time, there's a lot of times when I'll reach out to my support system and they're not available. And then I think, okay, and it took me a while to really kind of pin this down, but I realized when they're not answering, it's because it's something I have to figure out. It's something I have to do. And it's because it's part of my journey that only I can do. All right. So again, embrace all sides of yourself through self-compassion, and hold hands with the devil inside of you. So shadow work, love yourself with self-compassion, show yourself that self-compassion, and then jump into that shadow work. And so tomorrow we'll cover mandalas. Please come back for that, because I know a lot of people are like, what the hell is a mandala? I will tell you what a mandala is tomorrow. But also, there's some interesting stuff that went with it that I had no idea about. So it's really going to be fascinating. It's going to be interesting, I hope, for all of you. And I really, really think it'll be worth it. So if you want to get everything out of this, you need to watch all the parts, whether you feel like you're going to get anything out of it or not. Because I looked at mandalas and thought, I know what mandalas are. But then I read it and I watched the video and I was like, wow, poof, mind blown. So, so anyways, I will see everybody back here tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, Facebook Live. All lives are public on the Aloha Perspective. You can also catch a shorter version on TikTok under the Aloha Perspective. If you are not there, I post the TikTok to Instagram under the Aloha Perspective. And I also shared this video because the TikTok version and Instagram version are short versions. They're like 10 minutes or less. But I also shared this one to Facebook. So, I mean, not Facebook, sorry, YouTube under the Aloha Perspective. So if you're randomly seeing this somewhere, maybe Twitter, when I post it, follow the YouTube page if you like. Click and subscribe. So, yeah. That's it for now. And I promise I will be back here tomorrow. I will make myself be back here tomorrow. No more time off. It's time to push forward, move forward, and get this going. Get this going. All right. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you for watching.